In the sweltering August of 1914, the world held its breath. Europe was a powder keg, and the great powers were aligning for a conflict unlike any seen before. For the Ottoman Empire, an ancient realm straddling 3 continents, the decision of war or peace was a matter of survival. Grand Vizier Said Halim Pasha, a pragmatist by nature, understood the precarious position of his sprawling, yet internally fragile, state. Whispers of alliance with the Central Powers, led by Germany, grew louder, promising military might and a chance to reclaim lost glory. But joining this escalating European inferno risked everything. The stakes could not have been higher for the Sublime Porte. Germany, eager to open new fronts and divert Allied resources, pressed hard for an Ottoman alliance. They offered modern warships, military advisors, and the promise of support against Russia, a long-standing rival. Enver Pasha, the influential Minister of War, was a vocal proponent of joining the Central Powers, driven by nationalist fervor and a belief in German invincibility. His vision was one of a revitalized Ottoman Empire, expanding its influence. But Grand Vizier Said Halim Pasha and a cautious faction within the government harbored deep reservations, remembering the empire's recent costly wars and its vulnerable borders. Their skepticism was a quiet counterpoint to the growing chorus for war. In our timeline, the Ottoman Empire chose war, swayed by the delivery of German warships, the Goeben and Breslau, into Ottoman waters. But in this alternate reality, Grand Vizier Said Halim Pasha, perhaps fortified by a hesitant Sultan Mehmed V or a more unified council, held firm. He declared the Ottoman Empire's strict neutrality on August 2, 1914, a stark refusal of German entreaties. The German vessels, unwelcome guests, were eventually escorted out of Ottoman territorial waters, their presence deemed a violation of sovereign peace. This bold declaration, born of prudence rather than ambition, sent shockwaves through the diplomatic circles of Europe. The impact of Ottoman neutrality rippled immediately across the battlefields of Europe. Without a Middle Eastern front, millions of soldiers were never diverted. The British did not launch the disastrous Gallipoli campaign, saving hundreds of thousands of Allied lives and precious resources. The Russian Empire, unburdened by a Caucasian front, could focus its full might on the Eastern Front, potentially stemming the German and Austro-Hungarian advances more effectively. For Germany, the absence of an Ottoman ally meant a crucial strategic partner was missing, denying them access to critical oil supplies and a powerful geographic bloc against the Entente. The entire war strategy for both sides was fundamentally altered. One of the most critical arteries of the British Empire was the Suez Canal. In our history, its security was constantly threatened by Ottoman forces operating from Palestine, forcing the British to commit substantial troops to its defense. With a neutral Ottoman Empire, this threat never materializes. The canal remains a secure, uninterrupted lifeline for Allied shipping, allowing vital supplies and troops to flow freely between Europe, Asia, and Australia. This drastically reduces the logistical strain on the British and greatly streamlines their war effort, particularly in supporting operations on the Western Front and in distant colonial holdings. The historical Ottoman entry into World War I opened a brutal Caucasian front, diverting significant Russian resources and contributing to the empire's eventual collapse. In this alternate timeline, Russia faces no such distraction. Its vast armies can concentrate solely on the European Eastern Front, potentially turning the tide against the Central Powers much earlier. While Russia still grapples with internal issues, the absence of a costly, prolonged war in the Caucasus frees up manpower, supplies, and morale, possibly even delaying or mitigating the revolutionary fervor that swept through the country. This stronger Russian presence alters the entire calculus of the war. For the Central Powers, Ottoman neutrality is a severe blow. Germany loses its strategic southern flank, denying it potential routes to the Middle East and India. The dream of a Berlin-Baghdad railway, a key geopolitical objective, becomes far less viable without direct Ottoman cooperation. Austria-Hungary, already struggling, receives no relief from new fronts. This increased isolation and lack of external support likely shortens the lifespan of the Central Powers war effort. The prolonged stalemate on the Western Front might still occur, but the overall pressure on Germany and Austria-Hungary intensifies without an Ottoman diversion for the Allies. With the Allies less stretched and Russia more potent, the Great War likely concludes sooner. The relentless grind of trench warfare on the Western Front might still define the conflict, but with fewer diversions and a more secure Allied supply chain, their eventual victory could be accelerated. Imagine an end to the war by late 1917 or early 1918, perhaps preventing the full horrors of the Spanish flu pandemic from taking such a devastating toll on war-weary populations. The political landscape of Europe post-war would still be redrawn, but the economic and human cost would be considerably less catastrophic. While Europe bled, the neutral Ottoman Empire focused inward. Grand Vizier Said Halim Pasha and his government, free from the crushing demands of war, initiated a sweeping program of modernization. Instead of military spending, funds were redirected to infrastructure projects, railways crisscrossing Anatolia and the Arabian Peninsula, connecting disparate regions. Education received a boost, with new schools and universities promoting modern sciences and engineering. This period of peace allowed the empire to address long-standing internal issues, fostering a sense of national unity and laying the groundwork for unprecedented economic growth. Crucially, with the empire intact and stable, the vast oil reserves of Mesopotamia, particularly in the regions of Mosul and Kirkuk, were developed under Ottoman control, free from the scramble of post-war mandates. British Petroleum, then Anglo-Persian Oil Company, still sought concessions, but the Ottoman government, with stronger bargaining power, secured far more favorable terms. This meant that the burgeoning oil industry's wealth flowed directly into Ottoman coffers, not into the hands of foreign powers. This black gold fueled industrialization, funding new factories, urban development, and social welfare programs across the vast empire. Perhaps the most profound consequence of Ottoman neutrality is the complete absence of the Sykes-Picot Agreement and the subsequent British and French mandates. Without the wartime exigencies that led to their secret pacts, Britain and France had no legal or practical claim to carve up the Ottoman Middle East. Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, these nations, as we know them, would simply not exist. Instead, these regions remain integral, if increasingly autonomous, parts of the Ottoman Empire, bound together by shared governance and economic interests. This prevents a century of artificial borders, foreign interference, and simmering resentment. As the 20th century progressed, the Ottoman Empire, enriched by oil and stability, evolved. The traditional sultanate transitioned into a modern constitutional monarchy, retaining the sultan as a unifying figurehead but empowering a more democratic parliament. Diverse ethnic and religious groups, while still distinct, found greater representation within a federalized system designed to manage the vast empire's complexities. This pragmatic approach, forged in peace rather than war, allowed for gradual reform and adaptation, avoiding the violent nationalist upheavals that plagued other multi-ethnic empires of the era. By the mid-20th century, the Ottoman Empire stands as a formidable economic powerhouse. Its vast oil reserves provide immense wealth, but the empire diversifies, investing heavily in industry, agriculture, and trade. Istanbul becomes a global financial hub, rivaling London and New York. The ancient Silk Road routes are revived and modernized, connecting East and West under Ottoman auspices. A strong, stable, and wealthy Middle East becomes a cornerstone of the global economy, fostering prosperity across the region and beyond, creating a golden crescent of economic influence and innovation. In our timeline, the 20th century Middle East was plagued by conflict, fueled by colonial legacies and arbitrary borders. In this alternate reality, the Ottoman Empire, a unified and respected power, acts as a stabilizing force. It mediates disputes, fosters economic cooperation, and prevents proxy wars. Its vast territories, from the Balkans to North Africa and the Arabian Peninsula, enjoy relative peace and prosperity, a stark contrast to the historical turbulence. The Ottoman Empire becomes a model of regional cooperation, proving that diverse peoples can thrive under a common, evolving umbrella. The wealth and stability foster a profound cultural renaissance. Ottoman art, literature, and science flourish, blending traditional influences with modern innovation. Istanbul, Cairo, and Baghdad become centers of learning and artistic expression, attracting scholars and artists from around the world. Investments in scientific research lead to breakthroughs in medicine, technology, and sustainable energy, further cementing the empire's global standing. This is not a backward-looking empire, but one that embraces progress, becoming a leader in the global scientific and cultural conversation. The presence of a strong, neutral Ottoman Empire fundamentally reshapes global geopolitics. Its influence in the Mediterranean, the Black Sea, and the Red Sea is unparalleled. It provides a stable counterweight to European powers and a bridge between East and West, potentially mitigating Cold War tensions in the region. The Ottoman Empire's economic might and strategic location make it an indispensable player on the world stage, ensuring a more multipolar world throughout the 20th century. Its neutrality in the world wars allows it to emerge as a respected and powerful independent actor. As we look towards the 21st century in this alternate timeline, the Ottoman Empire stands as a testament to the power of a single decision. Its choice for neutrality in 1914 not only saved it from collapse but propelled it to superpower status. The Middle East, traditionally a flashpoint, is instead a region of prosperity and stability, free from the scars of colonial division and endless conflict. This peaceful, wealthy, and culturally rich Ottoman Empire offers a tantalizing glimpse into a world where a different choice, made at a critical juncture, could have rewritten the course of history for millions.